Welcome to FYI. I'm Barry ZeVAN, and I'm very happy to say today we have the Executive Director of the Masgutova Foundation, Levi Deiss, with us. And for those of you who have watched the program in the past, we've had two guests from the Masgutova Foundation, and Levi, I'm happy to say, is our third. We have two others to offer in the future, but it's quite an organization, and Levi, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. And how did you become interested in working for the Masgutova Foundation?
Yes, well, thanks again. It's an honor to be here and talking with the great and one and only Barry ZeVAN.
Oh my goodness!
It's a pleasure to be here. My dad's excited. The fact that I get to speak with you one-on-one, he'll be excited to see this. So thank you once again for the time.
Thank you.
How I initially became interested was I had family that on a professional level that had been involved with the organization, and I kept hearing these stories of impact and what was happening and what was going on, and stories that I'd never heard before, and it really sparked an interest and curiosity in me. So I started to go online, learn a little bit more about who is this organization, what do they do, what do they stand for, what are these stories, where are these stories coming from? And as I dug a little bit further, my background in business, there were obviously some questions into how they operate, how do they work, and I was connected through my family ties to the directors of the organization, had a great meeting with them and discussed, okay, what can we do to further enhance the name of our organization, the brand, and extend that hope to more people. And that's how our relationship came to be.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, specifically, the people with whom you're identified in a family situation have been at the top of the ladder in helping people with human trafficking problems, PTSD, et cetera, knowing more than, say, the average person would about that. Did that motivate you even more to want to do more?
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the key things for me was I always go back to hope, and with what my family members have been able to do in their knowledge and their education, PTSD and trauma and trafficking, they've been able to bring hope to people that wasn't there before, it didn't exist. And so seeing that and participating and being able to deliver that hope has really inspired me, and what I saw with the Masgutova Foundation is that same type of hope, right? Same type of being able to deliver and provide something that people didn't think existed. And so that connection and seeing that in that circle really has helped spur me on to see it in this circle, right? And sometimes those circles can overlap in what they provide as a service too. So it's definitely that experience with PTSD and trauma and seeing that the relationship exists there and the hope that's been able to be brought to so many people, and the same with what our foundation, Masgutova Foundation, able to do with so many people has intertwined and has spurred me on to desire to see that more so with the foundation.
Right. With your business background, and it's significant, and people should know Levi is a millennial. And that's not a bad word.
No, not at all.
This is, I think it's very inspiring to people of your age, late 20s, early 30s, whatever, to know that one example I use when people, and I have, as you know, I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Yes. Yeah.
But at least a couple of them are geniuses in whatever they do, one in music and the other in just creativity. But I've always been a big George Gershwin music fan. George Gershwin wrote all of his significant pieces, Rhapsody in Blue, Concerto in F for piano and orchestra, and American in Paris, in his late 20s and early 30s. And these are all-time classics. And even myself, as the geezer that I am, I'll be 81 this coming August, I still remember in my youngest years having these creative thoughts that I know would have worked, and that some of them actually did. But people shouldn't minimize. And I'm not being solicitous here, but just to say, people should never minimize what younger people know how to do.
Yeah.
And my grandson taught me how to work a computer. You taught me how to do double text.
That's right. Text more than one person. You've done a great job.
Oh, thank you. So, you know, as a millennial, I think you have a less jaded view of what foundations can do, what corporations can do, what companies can do.
Yeah.
In that regard, Masgutova Foundation also has an LLC. Can an LLC and a foundation work together in tandem? What's the mix for that?
Yeah, that's a great question that some people don't always understand, and a lot of times some people don't always know that an LLC that exists may have a 501c3 foundation as well. And a lot of times organizations do that because they want to have a philanthropic side of their organization. They want to give back to the community or to the world as a whole. So they'll start a 501c3 or a nonprofit foundation to be able to best facilitate the use of funds that are coming in, money, raising money, whatever that may be, and then offering those services, whether at no cost to the individuals or very minimal cost. And so it's very, very common for an LLC and a 501c3 to exist together and have that partnership. How that's done, of course, and obviously there's legal aspects to that and accounting and all of that needs to be taken into account. But it's certainly feasible, and it's actually fairly popular among many organizations nowadays that want to have that philanthropic end inside of their business and want to be known as that, to be able to give back to people who they think could really benefit from what they're doing.
Do you think there's an increase in that kind of thinking, or is it historically, do you know if it's just kind of leveled off and it's the way it's been, say, for years?
Yeah, another great question. I think that what we see is the increase because of way we classify organizations nowadays, even the last 15, 20 years. There has been an increase simply because of the ability to do it, to classify yourselves the way you're able to nowadays with a 501c3 status versus LLCs and what that allows you to do on a tax perspective, on a county perspective, and on a legal perspective. So I think we have seen an increase in that. I think we will continue to see an increase in that because, again, there are many organizations who want to give back and want to do it in the best way possible. And one of the ways to do that is to have a 501c3.
I've been involved with foundations in my life, and one person told me once, he said, what foundations do is give to other foundations. Is that correct?
It's not incorrect. As far as overall giving you for sure statistics on that, I couldn't say. That certainly does happen and takes place, but every organization is unique in what they offer and what they're trying and striving to do. So there's certainly nonprofits who may be set up and established to provide other scholarships and help other organizations. But again, it's unique to the individual organization and how they've been set up.
Can a foundation act as a business? Can it be modeled as a business? Is there a template for it, or what?
Yeah, so you have a lot of great questions, Barry.
Well,
it goes back to what I always talk about, the foundational elements of any organization. And a lot of times some people, when they may look at a 501c3 or a nonprofit, they may think of it as only there to give. And they don't necessarily think about, okay, well, how, in order to give, you have to be successful at what you do and what you're offering. So I always like to go back to what are the foundational elements to success for any organization, right? You have your vision, your mission, or your purpose, why you exist, the values that kind of guide you and navigate you as you move forward and determine who to bring on to your team, et cetera. And then, of course, you have your services. You have to define what do we offer, and then you have to define why we offer it, right? You have to define and understand your target market, your value proposition, and what makes you unique. All of those things are relatable to both an LLC or for-profit organization or corporation and a nonprofit. So they're interchangeable, intertwined, and that's what's really important when you look at a nonprofit is those foundational elements have to be there to be successful in order for you to achieve the philanthropic side of your purpose.
Do you feel that when people are approached to donate to anything, foundation, whatever, why there might be a reluctance to do so? What are the challenges that the foundation, even the Masgutova Foundation specifically, feel exist in regard to having people donate?
Yeah, I think that ties a little bit back into your previous question about, do we see more of this happening? Do we see more 501c3s and foundations coming to be? And the answer is yes, we do. And so what that's caused is there's such an influx in the amount of organizations that are seeking support and help and assistance. Now, there are two sides of it. Some may be either just ignorance from the, like a viewer, or just a normal Joe out there in the field may not understand what an organization stands for, or really understand the impact it has on them as an individual. So there might be a reluctance to give in that stance. In overabundance of organizations to give to, how do I choose which one do I give to? And of course they may have experienced an unfortunate experience with an organization that maybe took money, or maybe there was embezzlement, or whatever may be the case, where they become jaded from that and don't necessarily want to step out and try that again because of their experiences. So there's definitely a lot of work on behalf of the organization to promote and show itself as transparent, as honest, as operating with integrity. And so it's on behalf of the organization to really show that they're there on behalf of the people they serve.
I know the Masgutova Foundation is a bona fide 501c3. How much is involved to become established and vetted as a 501c3?
Well, there are a number of steps. The first is just simply establishing yourself as an NC of 501c3, so going through the paperwork and depending upon which state you're being established in, of course, and you have to define your services, why you exist, and who you will be serving. So there are a number of steps as far as going through and making sure it's set up correctly, and I always recommend seeking professional help from a tax consultant, accountants, professional business development consultant, somebody who's been there and helped establish and set up 501c3s and building the business plans and all that. So there are a number of steps that it takes to be it, and I'd say that as an encouragement because it's not daunting, it's not overwhelming. You can do it and it can be done. It's just best to do it wise and well the first time with help and assistance from those who have done it in the past.
I know I had established a foundation. It still exists. It's not doing very well. It's based in Warsaw, Poland.
Okay.
But in order to get the vetting from the Polish government, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep. There was quite a long process. It took about 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, to say, okay, this is real. You are honest. You are, this is really going to.
Yeah.
It's to help Polish orphans. But anyway, I thought, oh my gosh, I hope it doesn't take that long in the United States.
Yeah, it doesn't usually take quite that long. But again, what you said. Every organization is so unique, right? So it depends upon what you're striving to do, who you're working with, and a number of things. But usually 5 months. That'd be a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, we were sweating on that one.
Yes, well, and international is on a whole nother level too. So
sure. The economy now, with the roller coaster ride, the day that you and I are taping this show, the stock market has been on a big downswing again for the second time within 3 days,
yeah.
And a huge downswing.
Yeah.
Does that affect people psychologically or realistically regarding doing any kind of business?
Yeah. What's great about the United States is how philanthropic people are and how much we like to give back. I think what's so beautiful about that and about the people that live here is that it takes a lot to stop people from doing good here, which I think is really powerful. And I think that's a testament to the rest of the world. So yes, certainly economy can impact as far as how much of a chance you want to take in establishing or stepping out. I think that if there continues to be a decline in the stock market and just in general with the economy, yes, I think that will impact generosity potentially of people as well who are looking at the future and saying, oh, I don't know where this is going, we need to be careful. But I think good people always do good things. I really do. I think that good people continue to pursue generosity and helping people. So I like to believe that we'll continue to see organizations and nonprofits and charities continue to flourish and exist and to sprout up because of people wanting to help. Because in times of difficulties, that's when you see the best in people, right? And also the worst. But in the best of people that want to say, hey, this is a difficult time, how can I give back and how can I help? And through that, we might see some great organizations come to fruition because of that.
Right. I'm amazed, and we've touched on this in a couple of previous programs, but I don't think it hurts to reiterate the fact that Dr. Masgutova started almost on a shoestring in Russia.
Yeah.
And Poland, and for 25 or 30 years now, I think they've been going, and never gave up. To what do you attribute that sort of mentality? Let's put it that way.
You know, I think it comes down to belief, right? There's a belief in what you're doing is right, and what you're doing has an impact, and I think that's what's driven her for all of these years, and that's what drives everyone in the organization, is the belief that what we're doing is truly making an impact and truly having an impact. And that's what drives you forward. When you know what you're doing is right, when you're doing it with integrity, and when you know that it's ultimately having an impact and it's transforming people's lives, it's difficult not to continue to move forward. And you see that's what's really driving her forward, that's what's driving the organization forward, is the hope and the transformation that we're seeing occur in so many families' lives. We want to see every family experience that hope, every family experience that restoration and that joy that we see is happening. And that's going to continue to move us forward because we believe in our mission, we believe in what we do and what we offer, and we'll continue to promote that.
Yeah, the numbers of people who have the experience of being helped by Dr. Masgutova and Pamela Curley and even your relatives, et cetera, they want to continue with the work.
Yeah.
And I've seen it firsthand myself with the fact that it's not just hope, it's the actual work has really worked. They've worked on me.
Yeah.
I had neuropathy very badly, and Elvin, one of Dr. Masgutova's nephews, gave me some exercises to do, and it really, really worked.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know how to tell people enough how incredible this work is. Now, they're all over the world.
Yes.
And your relatives have actually worked with people all over the world too. Maybe you can talk about the human trafficking aspect. As a matter of fact, one of your relatives during the recent Super Bowl activities here in the Twin Cities said that she had worked on that subject during the Super Bowl. So, any thoughts about PTSD and the human trafficking work that your folks have done?
Yes, and I'm, as in somebody who's not a specialist and fully understanding what PTSD is involved in and what goes behind that. From what I've seen and from what we help with as an organization, they're very much so linked together. Those that have been through sex trafficking, as terrible as it is, those experiences are dramatically affect them for the rest of their lives. And that PTSD that we often hear of in a military circumstance is very common for individuals who have gone through trauma, such as trafficking, human trafficking, sexual human trafficking as well. It's a very deep and it's a very real thing. And so to be able to help by using the method like Masgutova or other methods that are out there, to be able to help these individuals, again, to experience that hope and restoration is so important. And to see the joy and the hope that are in the faces of some of these individuals who have gone through such traumatic experiences is truly amazing. And that's why we'll continue, like we talked about that belief aspect, continue to move forward and be in the front lines as many times as we can to say, hey, there is something that can help you. We can help you. We can provide hope and restoration and joy. And it's important that we continue to promote that message, because there are so many people who need to experience this and need the support that we can offer that they quite honestly don't get in many places.
Your family also has a military background. Has any of that rubbed off on you in any way?
The military background?
Yes.
Has that rubbed off on me?
Yeah.
You know, I have utmost respect for my brother who serves in the military. He's in California right now. To be in the military, to be dedicated, I have utmost respect for our military personnel, our servicemen and women who undergo a lot of stress in their lives, whether it's moving and family relationships, whether it's in combat. They go through a lot, and I think that for me it's just an appreciation, right? And that helps to drive me forward in helping to develop like this method, because of the impact it helps with those who have experienced PTSD. And from a military perspective, we can bring, again, hope and restoration and tangible steps that they can take to recovering and reconciling relationships that may have been broken, or experiences in the past that have hurt them, restoring those and helping military members acclimate back into living in the United States and getting jobs again, and what that looks like. So having that military family relationships has really helped me to see how we can provide support and help and reconciliation for those who have gone through traumatic experiences.
It must be really rewarding for your mother. Wasn't your mother in the military too?
No.
Oh,
no,
she wasn't.
Her father was. Yep.
Father.
Stationed in Germany, I believe, for a long time.
That's right. I think she was born in Germany, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yeah. That experience and being around military families who have experienced trauma or whatever has to be rewarding. I mean, as you said, we're a pretty philanthropic and caring society, but that old saying that giving is much more rewarding than receiving, and they must feel that. I mean, especially with the intense work that they do with these girls who have had this terrible human trafficking experience, or anything else. Have they expressed to you, say after a particularly bad few days of experience, say in Central America or whatever, I know they've been down there, have they come back with stories that have made you more inspired?
Absolutely. Inspiring stories, not just from victims, but from those who work with the victims. Many times those who work and are trying to address and help these victims, they are very ill-equipped to how to deal with that trauma and how to help people. And so to hear the stories of what we're able to bring and to bring support to them is amazing. And there are many professionals who work with the Masgutova Foundation who come from a background of maybe they haven't received, they're looking for more than what their education has given them as a physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, and goes on and on. All these professionals who are looking for what they've called MNRI the missing link, right? They're looking for that next step, that holistic step that truly helps to understand the foundation of the body and help to understand the foundation of reconciling and recovering things that have been lost over time. And so we have many professionals that come that share so many inspirational stories of what they've done and what they've been able to accomplish through this method and approach that they've never experienced anywhere else out of all of their education and time spent in the field.
So what are the plans now for, say, 2018, 2019 for the foundation to get more into the business aspect, thanks to you? Yeah.
Well, look at it on a couple fronts. We have a professional side, which we really want to engage professionals, like I mentioned before, the speech therapists, the occupational therapists, so many professionals who are looking for that missing piece in their education, that missing piece in their practice. And so many that have come before them from these fields are spreading the word. It's spreading like crazy because they've seen the impact this method has and the way that it introduces into their practice and helps them with their clients. It's spreading, the word is spreading like wildfire. So our goal is to, how do we equip them with the right tools? How do we help and promote their practice to be successful? Because when they're successful, we're successful as an organization. So we want to continue to inspire and to help equip professionals as much as we can. On the other side, we want to look at our customers, our clients that we service through our family conferences and our other events. We want to look at how can we meet their needs? What are their needs? How do we target and engage these families? What groups are they in? Who do they communicate with? What other programs have they tested and tried? So we really want to understand them to best facilitate and meet their needs as individuals. Again, we've seen so much success. The word is spreading like wildfire. It's our job to be able to provide the best, utmost service we can for them, because when they're seeing success, we're seeing success.
To recruit new core specialists, what's the method that's being done for that?
Yeah, right now we have primarily, it's a lot of word of mouth. We have a lot of specialists that are in circles that are taking continuing education, or they're looking for continuing education, and they hear about us through maybe their colleague or coworker, whoever it may be, that has taken some of what we've done, or they hear about it online somewhere from maybe another physical therapist who has tried a course and it's been so successful with their clients, they just can't get enough of it. And so a lot of it's word of mouth. We do engage through associations as offering continuing education credits to a lot of professionals. So that's really helpful because, as you know, in many of these fields, physical therapists, speech therapists, they are required to take continuing education to maintain their certificate, to maintain their license as a professional. So we offer many courses that they are able to do to fulfill that. And so that's been a huge tool for bringing in these professionals, and once they come, most of them continue to keep coming back for more because they love the impact it's having.
That's great, and you have helped people in many bad situations, floods, and
Yes.
the Newtown, Connecticut shootings,
Yes.
and so forth and so on, helping people
Absolutely.
get over it or get better.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and we'll continue to do that as much as we can. We're again, Dr. Svetlana Masgutova, Pamela Curley, so many of the wonderful core specialists that work with us. They're all about giving back, and that's what's so amazing to me. Again, that belief and that trust in the people you work with, and the fact that they really want to give back and promote not just the M&R name, but the impact of it. And they're willing to do that sometimes at no cost, and do some of these amazing events to help people that have gone through tremendous experiences. It's truly amazing. It really is.
Yeah, and glad you brought out the no cost, because many of the people volunteer.
Yes,
their
absolutely.
time and their services.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here,
Absolutely.
Levi.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Barry.
You're welcome. Levi just shared this with me. The main difference, by the way, in not-for-profit versus nonprofit is the manner in which the organizations exist. Although the two terms are often used interchangeably, the distinction in not-for-profit versus nonprofit could be in its membership. Nonprofits may have employees that get paid a salary, but that salary is not contingent on the fundraising efforts of that company. There may also be volunteers at the nonprofit, but they fail to benefit from the income of the company. However, not-for-profit organizations may include a membership roster which does directly benefit from the income of the organization. For example, an organization that has fund drives to send children to a destination would likely be a not-for-profit if the children were the ones who took part in the fundraising efforts, such as selling candy to raise funds. Thanks so much, Levi. We'll see you next time.